When is no contact useful and when is it not useful? Okay. So this is an interesting discussion topic because I often hear clients saying things like, I'm going to go dark or I went dark. And it's interesting to me because it's such a military term, that we are on the offense or we're on the defense, right? We're at war with our lovers and I'm going to go no contact. So, or that we are somehow commanding different aspects of ourselves that are armored up, right? So one of the things when it comes to no contact, I have to say, I don't think there's a hard and fast rule to this. I think it is context dependent. I think one of the things that could be helpful is how to conceptualize the function, how to conceptualize what no contact means. So for example, one of the ways that can help you do this is to recognize attachment triggers as embodied and that they are in essence addiction triggers. So if you're someone who has struggled with avoidant or anxious attachment, I think these are actually two ends of the same spectrum in that we can experience addiction around our attachment relationships, love addiction, right? And sex addiction is sometimes tied in with that, but I'm just going to focus on love addiction right now. Because attachment, as we mentioned before, and as I talked a little bit about when I mentioned polyvagal theory, it stimulates your nervous system. And it also stimulates the hippocampus and it also stimulates the amygdala. So these are the parts of the brain that are also stimulated and affected by things like dopamine and other oxytocin and love chemicals. So they've done studies that show that when you show an addict who uses ingestive drugs and they look at pictures of drug paraphernalia, this part of their brain lights up. Equally, when you introduce pictures of a newborn child to its mother, the same part of the brain lights up. Also, epigenetics has told us that anxious attachment has a relationship to the way the dopamine genes around dopamine express themselves, and avoidant attachment has a relationship to the way around serotonin expresses itself. And serotonin is associated with obsessiveness, also associated with sexual hypersexuality or hyposexuality. And serotonin has been associated with avoidant attachment. Dopamine has been associated with anxious attachment, right? Avoidant attachment is associated with sex addiction. We've also looked at love addiction being associated with anxious attachment. Anxiety. So there are all these different labels and terms and ways of looking at how these things are expressing themselves. The point I want to make here with respect to no contact is conceptualizing it like an addiction. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Brianna McWilliam, and I am a licensed and board-certified creative arts therapist, author, and educator with more than 15 years in the field, helping adults struggling with insecure attachment go from self-doubting to self-sovereign so they can attract those soul-shaking, passionate partnerships that they want. Today, I'm going to be sharing a clip of a live stream event that took place inside my private Facebook groups, which people can access once they've purchased one of my online courses. If you're interested in finding out if you might have insecure attachment, check out the link in the caption of this video. You'll be able to take an easy 4-question quiz and find out your attachment style, plus a detailed explanation. Now, if you like what you see in here and you haven't yet, make sure that you like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. I put out videos once or twice a week, and sometimes I will do occasional live streams through my YouTube channel, and I wouldn't want you to miss out. So if you are in a relationship that you cannot extricate yourself from it no matter what, and you know that it has become, a lot of people use the term toxic, right? Then I invite you to realize that your attachment system is inflamed and that you try to get over whatever stigma you have around the concept of addiction and to recognize that you are in an addictive cycle, okay? So let's look at what does it take to break an addictive cycle, right? So one thing I would add to this, though, it's a bit different than an ingestive addiction other than food, right? Because food addiction or sex addiction, for example, or love addiction, these are addictions that are centered around what we might argue are some basic human needs. So if you are going to go no contact, recognize that the thing that you are trying to sever yourself from is connection. And if that's the case, and you are experiencing a toxic relationship, or you are experiencing a yearning for, an aching for, an uncontrollable urge to be close to and or connected to someone that you know isn't a really good compatible fit for you anymore, then that's an addictive impulse. And also, you're searching for connection, and you've probably become narrowly focused on this person as the only real source of connection that you have. So that means that before you attempt anything like no contact, for example, that you put in place the supports that you would need in order to sustain no contact, in order to sustain a long period of time of being disconnected from this person, which means put other contacts and connections in place, right? Because consider, for example, the trans theoretical model for change, which was developed to help individuals that struggle with addiction. So there are certain phases that you can expect when wanting to make a change, or when wanting to extricate yourself from someone you feel addicted to, right? There's pre-contemplation, there's contemplation, then there's preparation, there's taking action, then there is relapse, and then maintenance. Or you might have maintenance and then relapse. Okay. So you're thinking about it. This is usually when you're kind of aware of some red flags going on, but you're like, oh, but it feels so good. And maybe I'm just being hypersensitive, right? Then there's contemplation. So now the red flags are starting to pile up. A friend or a sibling or a parent has said something like, that's not okay the way they're talking to you, right? Or something along those lines. And then there's preparation. You know it's not good for you. You know it's not good for you. You've watched a video like mine on YouTube. You've read a book. You're like, I'm probably going to have to do something about this, but I'm not ready yet. But you start preparing things. So maybe you're like, maybe I should go see a counselor first, right? Or maybe I should read a book about boundaries, right? So you're starting to prepare to make a change. And then you take action. So maybe the action you took was finally going and seeing the therapist, or maybe the action is that you decide, no, I am going to break up with this person. And then there's either maintenance or relapse. So it depends on how long you're able to maintain the action. If you can maintain it for a longer period of time, that would be maintenance. And my cat is agreeing with me. And that would be maintenance. And maintenance is something that's really only successful when you have put the supports in place that anticipate when you will feel the urge to relapse, right? When you anticipate, you will feel the temptation to fall off the wagon, let's say. But it happens, it happens. And a lot of us will relapse several times until we're able to have a longer period of maintenance. And that is really going to be something that evolves through your own individual journey, and contact or no contact will inevitably be an aspect of that journey, right? Like what works for you there. Yes, I do. I have my kitty here, and she's very vocal. She's a ham. So, and the other thing I wanted to mention and to emphasize here, just to drive home the point that when you ultimately do decide, let's say you've gone through pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, you're ready to take action, or you've already taken action and you're ready to try to stick to it, right? You're afraid of relapse or whatever. I would just have you, I really want us to adopt this notion that it is an addictive experience, because there's so much of your body is activated in this, right? There are physical cues that stimulate our nervous system when we are in a sexual and bonded relationship. There are studies that have been done that show when you are with a bonded partner specifically that they help regulate stress to your nervous system. There are studies that show that two partners, when they are together and they are a bonded couple, that their heartbeats can sync. They actually harmonize. There have been studies that show when you have a bonded couple and you've got one person in the room and they flash a light in their eye and their pupils dilate, the other partner who's in another room through a wall, through a closed door, their eyes dilate as well. So we are definitely connected and bonded to our partners. And if it has become an unhealthy situation, you will go through withdrawals. They are withdrawals. It's not a metaphorical term I'm using here. This is a chemical withdrawal that you are going through, the chemicals that your body just naturally creates. So you have to really realize that when you are preparing to make a change in your relationship, you need to make a plan for it. You need to plan for it. No contact may be a part of that plan. You may relapse on that plan. My only advice is to be gentle with yourself, to make a plan for yourself, to know what will help you to feel supported, and to be forgiving with yourself, because this is, what do they call it? Par of the course, that it's a cycle. It's something that eventually you will cycle and spiral up out of, but you may have to go back to it several times before you're really able to let it go. And that's okay. That's part of your process. Some people might be able to go cold turkey. Some people can go cold turkey, and more power to them if they can. If you're not one of those people, be kind, be generous, be gentle with yourself, and understand that you are going through physical and chemical withdrawals. Okay, if that removes any of the stigma around it for you, I hope it does.